My name is Beauchamp. Thanks for joining me on this video. Today, we're going to talk about the dangerous mindset that we all need to start silencing if we truly want to be able to achieve our goals. You see, I believe that being able to achieve our goals starts first with a belief in ourselves. And if we don't have that belief in ourselves, then everything that spins out from that is just going to be very challenging for us in a lot of ways. Today, we're going to talk about how achieving our goals truly starts with a belief in ourselves. From that particular point, it then moves into how not believing in ourselves can really set ourselves up for long-term negative effects. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is how to break the cycle. Okay, so, I think a lot of us over our lifetimes could probably agree with this particular thing, and that is, at some point or another, we've probably said to ourselves, oh, you can't do this, or you can't do that, or you're not good at this particular thing, or I'm just, every time I try to do this thing, this other thing happens. Well, cancel all that. I think when you are constantly saying those things to yourself, you're actually building a pattern in your brain that actually will prevent you from being any different than that. Because our brains, they don't, really decide good or bad. They don't have that rational type decision making apart from us, right? And so when we decide that it's good, when we decide that it's bad, that's what gets encoded, right? And so in our minds, we really need to be careful about the things that we tell ourselves, the things that we say to ourselves, because our subconscious is going to be picking up on those things, and it's going to start, encoding those into your brain. And so if you find that you're constantly, saying those things to yourself, you really need to, pause and consider making a change in that. And that pattern becomes just natural, right? Because you're thinking, oh, I can't do this thing. So then your brain's like, yep, you can't do that thing. And you keep saying, oh, I can't do this thing. Your brain says, yep, you can't do that thing. And it'll just create that cycle, and it becomes automatic for you. And so you really need to realize that the things that you're saying to yourself are probably having a pretty big impact on whether or not you're achieving the goals that you're setting out to achieve for yourself. So consider the words that you say, consider how you're saying them, and really think about what kind of effect that it's having on you. So if you say something to yourself and after you say it, you're just like, oh, it just like takes the energy out of you, it's probably not something that you should be saying to yourself. Here's a good way to think about it. The things that you say to yourself, would you say those things to a child? If the answer is no, then you probably shouldn't be saying it to yourself as well, right? Like, think about that for a second. If you were to constantly tell a child, oh, you're not any good at this, you're not any good at that, you can't jump this high, or you can't, ever get your math homework correct, or whatever, that's encoding onto their brains as well, right? And we all know that that can have some pretty negative effects on other people if we're constantly saying that to them as well. So why would you say it to yourself? I mean, it took me a little while in my life to realize that I was saying a lot of things to myself that I probably shouldn't ever have been saying. And so I want to encourage you, think about the words that you use, think about what you're telling yourself, because you could be setting yourself up for a potentially negative outcome without even really knowing it. And the more often that you use that kind of negative kind of talk to yourself, it actually starts sapping the energy from you, right? And the more that time goes on, the less energy you have. And it just starts to it just creates that cycle of not a lot of energy, and you just keep telling yourself these negative things. It just keeps that cycle going. So I want to encourage you to really think about it, and really take a pause on some of the negative stuff. So if you're really resonating with the information that I'm sharing, consider subscribing to this channel. I release a new video every week, and it pertains to one of the 5 pillars that I believe are critical in being able to engineer a routine for yourself to be able to get the results that you want and to be able to get the time freedom that you deserve. And those 5 pillars are: number 1, using smaller time blocks; number 2, balancing your time; number 3, removing unwanted daily activities; number 4 is all about enforcing a routine; and the 5th one is all about practicing discipline in our lives. Okay, so we're talking a little bit about how that cycle can, really start to, wear on us over time. And then, the long-term effects that can have on our business is that our business will never really result in what we want it to be and what we really had hopes for in the beginning. Obviously we started a business because we hoped that it was going to be successful. I mean, you don't go into business for the purpose of failing. I mean, that seems kind of silly. And so if the whole reason why you wanted to get into business was to be successful, you really need to be careful about the types of things that you tell yourself, because you could be setting yourself up for, not so good results. So really hone in on the conversation you're having with yourself. Really hone in on ensuring that the things that you're saying are helping you move towards the goals that you really have for yourself. And by doing so, you can really start to see a shift that starts to happen in your life. And, this is, kind of moving a little bit into the cycle breaking that I was talking about, that we'll talk about in a minute. But you really need to, think about what are the long-term negative effects that this is having on me, because believing in yourself is, I believe, one of the most important ways that you can actually be able to instill that belief that somebody else can have in you. Nobody is going to want to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. That doesn't make any sense, right? If you don't believe that you can be successful, why in the world would you expect anybody else to? It all starts with you. So really start thinking about where you want your business to go. What are the results that you want your business to actually achieve? And realize that your mindset is really playing a huge part on whether or not you're able to achieve the goals that you're setting out for yourself. And so, really start considering that, and really start taking some inventory of where you're at and where you want to be, and start thinking about how you're talking to yourself. So, drop a like or a comment below. I would love to know what you think about the video or any other videos that I've posted. It'd be really helpful for me to get some feedback from you to make sure that I'm putting out content that's resonating with you. Okay, so breaking that cycle. So really it comes to awareness, right? It comes to being aware of when we're having those conversations with ourselves, because, we've kind of figured out that we may be having these conversations with ourselves, and we know that, the long-term effects of them aren't what we really want for ourselves and for our business. And so you really need to start breaking the cycle by recognizing it and being aware when it's starting to happen. So really, in those moments, capture those moments as best as you can. And, I've heard a couple of different people think about how to break this cycle in a couple of different ways. Like, some people I know, when they start seeing that negative talk starting to happen, they audibly say to themselves out loud, and it doesn't matter who's around them, they'll just say the word cancel, right? Cancel that. I don't accept that. I don't receive that. Something to that effect. Like, really be intentional. Put a Post-it note on your bathroom mirror that says, no negative self-talk today, or, something to that effect. You can put a piece of wallpaper, type like electronic wallpaper, on your phone, and just a reminder, like every time you open your phone, it'll have this picture that pops up that says no negative self-talk. Or, if you want to flip the script even more, you could say, only say positive things to yourself. Make it even more positive by not even using the word negative or no. Just say, I only use positive affirmations for myself. Or I only think of myself in my highest, kind of self. Whatever it takes for you to really start breaking the cycle, do it. Think about what's going to work best for you and do that. Be consistent. Think about how, when you're thinking about those goals that you have out in the future. The way that you're going to get there is by believing in yourself, encouraging yourself first. Because if you do that, I guarantee if you believe in yourself and you encourage yourself first, you'll start seeing others coming alongside of you. And it honestly doesn't matter if people are laughing at you right now or not. People might laugh and scoff at you, and that's okay. That does not define you. All that does is define them as someone who's unkind. So don't let the words of other people change the conversation that you have with yourself. So I mean, I hope that makes sense, because it's really important. I've realized this over the years. It doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what other people say. It matters what I think and what I say to myself first. And if I'm true to myself and I'm not, moving in a direction that's going to do any harm to anyone else, then I just need to own, or myself for that matter. I need to own where I'm at. And it's okay if other people don't understand. They don't have to, right? So moving into a healthier view of ourselves and, really having a belief in ourselves can really start setting ourselves up for long-term success, not only for ourselves, but, this can have positive effects for our families. It's going to have a positive effect on your business, can have a positive effect on your community. Having that healthier mental conversation with yourself is extremely helpful, and it can have long-standing benefits. Even, it can out-survive you, because you are the example that other people are following, whether you know it or not, and whether you like it or not. People are following you and they're paying attention to what you're doing. So here's your action item. Pick one thing about the conversation you're having with yourself that you don't like and start changing it. Put the law of Goya into effect. And the law of Goya is literally this: get off your ass and do it. Start putting that into effect. Start thinking about how you can start changing that today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you. You know what it is that you need to change in your life. So just start changing it and do it now. Thank you for joining me for today. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you on the next video.